Factoring. This is one of my favorite topics to teach. They're like little puzzles. It's like figuring out a puzzle to me. To factor a polynomial means to unmultiply it. So we are going to undo all this multiplication that we've done. So for example, multiply all these polynomials. Let's look for patterns as we do this, because if you look down at the bottom, you're going to get the answers and you're going to be asked to factor, be asked to come up with what the question was. So stop the video and multiply all these out. Then start the video again and check your answers. So here's all your answers. Now let's look for patterns here. You see that we always have an x squared at the beginning, and then at the end there's always a constant, and in the middle there's always an x term, right? In all of these. Let's look at where some of these come from. How about that 14? Do you see where that comes from? Or the 30? Where does that come from in relation to the beginning numbers? Well, if you take the 2 and the 7 and multiply them, you get the 14. Same thing here. The 5 times the 6 makes 30. I call that last number the multiplying number. Now let's look at this middle term, the x term, plus 11x and plus 9x. Is there a shortcut for where that number comes from? Well, yeah, 5 and 6 added together makes 11, so that's where that comes from. And you can see that the plus 5x and plus 6x added together makes plus 11x. 2 and 7 makes 9. And these patterns hold even when there's negatives involved. Let's come down and look at the negative ones. Look at the problems in the second row. They all have one negative, one positive. How do their answers look? Well, since it's one negative and one positive, the multiplying number is always negative, because the way you get a negative number by multiplying is by having one of each sign. So all of these multiplying numbers are negative. Now look at the adding numbers. Some are negative, some are positive. How does that happen? Well, think money again. If the adding number is bigger than the subtracting number, it's like winning money instead of losing money, you're going to have a positive adding term. If the negative number is bigger, when you add them together, you're going to have a negative number there. Let's look at the bottom row. These all had two negative numbers multiplied together, a negative 7 and a negative 3. So when you have a positive multiplying number, it can either mean that you have two positive numbers added together or two negative numbers added together. Well, how do you know? How do you know if you have two negative numbers added together? Well, two negative numbers added together are going to make a negative sum. We'll talk more about this as we do these problems. Now we will do a few of these backwards. Factor them. So I'm starting with the answer, and I want to know the question. I want to know the two polynomials in parentheses that were multiplied together to get this answer. If you're working ahead, there will be two of these problems that are unfactorable. My suggestion is watch me do a few of these and then try to do as many of them as you can on your own. If you can't figure one out, then come back and listen to me, and I'll show you a technique that will make sure that you get it every single time. But try to do as many of them as you can on your own. So if you can't see this, for example, I look at this and say, okay, what two numbers added together make 12 and multiplied together make 35? Well, 7 and 5. So this is x plus 7 times x plus 5. Now, if you couldn't do that, if you can't just see that, what do? I start with the multiplying number, and I make a list of factors. How could I get 35? Well, I could do 1 times 35, or 5 times 7. That's about it. Now, I look at those two choices and say, which one adds to be 12? Well, this one does. So I know it's going to be x plus 5 times x plus 7. I could also write this the other way around, like that. Okay? X squared plus 12x plus 32. If you can't just write it down, look at the multiplying number and write down factors. Let's see, 1 and 32, 2 times 16, 4 times 8. I think that's it. Now look at those. Which one of those pairs adds up to be 12? Well, 4 and 8. That means I have x plus 4 times x plus 8. Again, you might be able to do that quicker. If you can just write that down by looking at the numbers, go for it. Next one. If you can't figure it out, start with the multiplying number. What two numbers could be multiplied together to make 10? Well, 1 and 10, or 2 and 5. Which one of those add together to be 11? This one. See, it's like a puzzle. Isn't it fun? All right. X squared plus 13x plus 36. Well, if you can't just see it, start with the multiplying number. How could you get 36 by multiplying? You could do 1 and 36, 2 and 18, 3 and 12, 4 and 9, 6 and 6. Do any of those add to be 13? Yep, right there. You don't have to list out all the factors either if you find the one that's the right answer. Again, you're looking for two numbers that multiply to be 36 and add to be 13. Next one. Start with the multiplying number, list its factors. 1 and 18, 2 and 9, oh, there it is. 3 and 6 is another option too, but 2 plus 9 makes 11, so I know that it's x plus 2 times x plus 9, or x plus 9 times x plus 2. Okay, into the negatives. These ones get a little trickier. I know that if I have a negative multiplying number, how do you get a negative multiplying number? Well, you have one positive and one negative. So let's list the choices. We could have 1 and negative 24. We could have negative 1 and positive 24. Let's see, 2 and negative 12. Or negative 2 and positive 12. Negative 3 and 8. Or 3 and negative 8. Negative 4 and 6. Or 4 and negative 6. And I also know here, since my adding number is positive, that means the bigger number must be positive. Here we go. Negative 4 and 6. Lose $4, win 6 back. You're 2 to the good. Oops. This could also be written as x plus 6 times x minus 4. Either way. What you have to be careful of, though, is that the negative is with the 4 and the positive is with the 6. At any time, feel free to stop or pause the video, do these on your own, and then go back and check your answers. I need to cross this one out. This one doesn't work. I must have had a typo. All right, let's look at this one. X squared minus 10x plus 16. All right, let's look at our multiplying number. It's positive, but our adding number is negative, so that must mean that two negatives multiply together to get 16. So what are our choices? Negative 1 and negative 16. Negative 2 and negative 8. Oop, there it is. Negative 2 and negative 8. Or negative 4 and negative 4. And I'm listing all the factors. Feel free to stop when you find it. So x minus 2 times x minus 8. Negative 2 and negative 8 will multiply together to be positive 16 and add together to be negative 10. Let's try this one. My multiplying number is positive 30 My adding number is negative. That means it must have been two negatives that multiplied together to be negative 30. And none of those add together to be negative 7. So it looks like this one is unfactorable also. X squared minus 11x plus 28. Again, our multiplying number is positive, but when we added, we got a negative. That must mean that two negatives multiplied together to get this positive 28. So what are my choices? Negative 1, negative 28. Negative 2, negative 14. Negative 4, negative 7, there it is. X minus 4 times x minus 7. My multiplying number is negative 18. To multiply two numbers to get a negative, I must have one of each sign. So negative 1 and 18, 1 and negative 18. Let's see, there it is. Let's see, it's a positive 3, so that means my 6 must be positive. 6 and negative 3 add up to be 3. Next one. My adding number is 6, and my multiplying number is 6. My adding number is negative 7. So what numbers would multiply together to be positive 6? Looks like it's going to be a negative. So negative 1 times negative 6, or negative 2 times negative 3. Those would both make positive 6. Which one adds to be a negative 7? This one. There it is. A negative multiplying number means one of each sign. So negative 1 and 3, or 1 and negative 3 are my choices. This one adds to be positive 2. A negative multiplying number means one of each sign. Oh, there it is right there. I don't even have to go any further. 1 and negative 8 makes negative 7. That's how you factor.